What's up? So we talk one, two, three. Kind of a big trade happened today. Not really much going on except some free agent news, and the Phillies, of course, are involved in that with Ryan Madison, Jonathan Papelbon, and really outside of that, though, the big news today was that the Royals, looking for starting pitching help, looking at the possibility of a Jair Jurgens and a deal with Jair Jurgens and Martin Prado, stepping that aside. As great as that would be for a trade for the Royals, it still could come. But I think they're just trying to find solid pitchers to kind of fill the gap and to get some more wins. Because I mean, this team has a great offense and has a lot of great young players, the best farm system in baseball. But their pitching is still thin. A lot of really solid outfielders. Will Myers, Lorenzo Cain, some big prospects there. Getting Eric Hosmer. And then Mike Moustakas. So, a lot of big prospects are starting to come up, and they deal an extra center fielder that they do have. Had a great year last year, hitting 18 home runs, driving in like 80-something runs. Had a fantastic year at the Royals last year. He didn't really have much pressure last year. I mean, you're playing for the Royals, not, offending any Royal fans, but, this team wasn't expected to win last year. They went from like New York to Atlanta to, you know, Kansas City, and I bet he had a lot of fun there. And you don't have to just win 90 games to have fun in a baseball city. You're in the major leagues. You can have fun with whatever city you play at. And he definitely had fun there, and he played great. So the Royals, they're gonna miss a pretty big part of their lineup that they have this year. I mean, they're gonna gain that back with the prospects that they have coming through, and they'll be totally fine. But just looking back at that this last year, see box scores in a lot of games, and he was a big provider of a lot of offense in the middle and early part of that lineup. So for the Giants, though, a pretty big deal for them. If they can, if he's able to hit, 15 home runs next year, driving 70 RBIs, it's a big addition for them. He's not old. He's pretty young still. He's definitely got some life in him, and if he played center field every day, this pushes Andres Torres to a corner spot or a bench spot, or maybe he could get traded. Who knows? But probably going to be a corner spot because the chances of the Giants acquiring Carlos Beltran are getting slimmer and slimmer, and the chance of them getting Jose Reyes are very slim at this point, or Jimmy Rollins or any other big free agent. So they're probably going to be, mixing it up with some trades. For the Giants, they don't need to worry. They have a surplus of pitching, and for the Royals, they have a surplus of outfielders. Now, what does this do for the Giants? This adds a pretty big middle of the order bat. You could put him in the 2 hole, you could put him in the 5 hole, you could put him in the 6 hole. I think he'd be comfortable at any of those spots and would produce at any of those spots. Sorry about that. Eyes are kind of, I don't know. And then for the Royals, you're getting a solid, and I'll say solid. I'm not going to say he's an ace because, his numbers definitely don't point to him being an ace. He was, like something like 4-7 this year, a mid 4 ERA, a pretty good rate for strikeouts. So, and I mean, I think we all remember Jonathan Sanchez as having that no hitter, and he looked like he had a lot of raw ability, and he's still young, and he still obviously has time to kind of turn his career. But next year will be a very important year. It kind of will be a says-all year for him because of the fact that he has struggled um, pretty mightily actually the last few years. He was injured this year a little bit. Didn't get as many starts as he'd like, and he has a lot of talent. I mean, he struck out over 100 this year in limited time. And if he was 3 under 500 pitching record wise for the Giants, he's not gonna get a winning record for the Royals unless he really, really pitches better than he did this year. And I think he will. I think he's a bounce back candidate. That when the Royals are winning and maybe winning their division in a few years, closer than we think, I think he'll be a solid candidate to get 12, 13 wins. Right now, they need him to be a young leader in that 2-3 spot in the rotation. Honestly, maybe even their number one starter. I don't know exactly what kind of rotation. Obviously, they're interested in signing back Bruce Chen, kind of veteran guys. Again, right now they're in the spot where they're trying to bridge the gap to years where they can win. But I think it would be the best move if they went and traded for Jair Jurgens. Obviously, you don't want to give up guys like Will Myers. I think if they could avoid giving up Will Myers and they were, I would say maybe go for Lorenzo Cain and a few others for Jared Jurgens, but I think you have to get Martin Prado in a deal like that too. Um, But, I mean, the Royals have a lot of options. They have a packed outfield. So I think if you were going to go out and get a guy with that much talent as Jair Jurgens, you're going to have to give up Lorenzo Cain. Obviously the Braves are going to want Will Myers, but you say no to that and give up Lorenzo Cain, and hopefully you hope for the Braves to accept an offer like that. I think Martin Prado would be a big addition to this Royals team. I remember they had a former White Sox at second. Was it Chris Getz or was it someone else? But I think Martin Prado, if he played second, it would be a big improvement. Otherwise, he's an outfielder also, so even though their outfield is packed. But if they made a deal with the Braves, I could see for Jair Jurgens. Really, this Royals team, they want to focus on pitching, and they have the prospects in the minor league system to do so. And they're able to add a quality starter for just giving up someone who they probably weren't going to need that much this year. And plus, he's not a big prospect. He's, a free agent. They signed him, and, they traded him. So they didn't really have to give up much, and they actually got a prospect too. Verdugo, I think it was Ryan Verdugo or something like that. So they get a prospect, and they get Jonathan Sanchez, a solid number 3 starter on most teams, maybe number 4 starter for just Melky Cabrera. And he had a great year last year, but he's not going to be like an all-star every year. He's not going to be put up great numbers every year. And in the Giants Park, we'll see what numbers he puts up. Who knows? But honestly, it's a great deal for the Royals and a good deal for the Giants. Going to add a solid hitter for the Giants. And they have a surplus of pitching. So giving up a guy like Jonathan Sanchez, it makes sense. He hasn't put up that great of numbers in the last few years anyway. So you can afford to give up a guy like Jonathan Sanchez with the pitching you have in this organization. It's going to be interesting to see if they go in and try to trade a guy like Tim Lincecum and get a ton in return. That would definitely free up some space, free agent-wise, or even a trade route where they could take on some salary, maybe in a guy like maybe a Sean Figgins type, and hope that he has better numbers, or even a Jose Reyes or Carlos Beltran type. So if they were able to trade Lincecum, get a ton in return, and free up that salary, then it makes sense. So they did give up a pitcher today, though. So the surplus of pitchers is definitely getting down now. But a great deal for the Giants, getting Melky Cabrera, a solid outfield bat. Could bat in the 2-hole, I could see 6-hole, I could see 5-hole, whatever it is. I mean, this lineup's done to look a lot different than the middle of the year this year when they had a lot of guys injured. Next year it's going to be, Buster Posey's going to be in there, Freddie Sanchez is going to be in there, and a few others. So this lineup is going to be a lot better than the middle of the year last year. So expect the Giants to make a very big push to win the NOS. And the Diamondbacks are going to be tough, but I think the Giants will they're going to be tough. I mean, they have a great team. Getting Buster Posey back, getting Freddie Sanchez, a healthy Freddie Sanchez, hopefully. And they just got Melky Cabrera today. See what else they do this offseason and improve this team for next year. But it should be a pretty good year for the Giants next year. Thanks for watching. Let me talk 1, 2, 3.